Something is wrong in the fullest sense of the word. At first glance, the world seems fine, but upon closer inspection, dinosaurs, Romans, and other things throughout time have appeared. Oddly, nobody seems to be bothered by it, like it was part of everyday life. Another oddity has occurred. Despite the sun rising and setting like normal, the time is always the same. Only the doctor has the answer. And boy, oh boy, it's gonna be a whopper. Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? Here is your host, Enigmatic Joker. For sci-fi and fantasy and other things, you can meet on this channel for fun chats about their love books, movies, series, and franchises. Yes, we meet here for that. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for my most beloved sci-fi series, Doctor Who. This channel has multiple names, is multiverse, multi-universe. So yeah, that's right. The reason why this channel has multiple names. Most of the time I call it Random Entertainment Channel. Why random? Random, because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Um, by the way, we don't do politics and religion on this channel. We want this channel to have a good, fun place with jokes and laughter. So no politics, no religion, entertainment. Random, because we broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. And why is that? Yes, I want to meet so much people as possible from different countries and time zones. That's the reason why I do that. So you need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Yes, I know it's enigmatic, it's mysterious. Yes, that's why my name is Enigmatic. Uh, can you follow it? Oh, yeah. Well, so random and also because we'll have no guests or different guests. Depends want to join me in live stream or panel. If you want to join me in live stream or panel, feel free to contact me in via YouTube. You can put a comment on one of the videos, and you can contact me via the Discord server, and we will look what is possible. So you ask, what is the Discord server? Now the Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel, and you tag Doctor Who in DOSBoard, and you can find me very quick because I pump the server regularly. Um, so you are invited for a live stream panel. And feel free also to invite me for your channel, for your live stream panel. I want to contribute on your channel also. I want to make friends and I want to network. I want to have fun. So you can invite me. So in summary, you are invited for my channel to join me in a live stream, in a panel, and feel free to invite me for your channel and for a live stream or panel. Yes. So, cheers, mate. Have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. That's me, Enigmatic. Today, we have an 11th Doctor story called The Wedding of River Song. And as usual, we will do here first some general info about this episode, this story. Okay? By the way, spoiler alert. If you haven't watched or listened to this story yet, then I highly recommend you to watch or listen it. So you can decide for yourself to listen further or decide what to watch first. You can choose. Okay, let's go. Let's go. The Wedding of River Song was the 13th and final episode of Series 6 of Doctor Who. The episode featured an unusually extreme alteration to the course of history resulting from a change to a fixed point in time. It also showed how the Doctor survived his supposed death, and it concluded a long-running story arc when the Doctor married Rivet's son. However, a new arc arose in its place with a prophetic statement about the Doctor's future's battle, which would become a pressing matter in due time. It also the first time since the first half of Series 6 that Amy's pain of losing Melody on Demon's Run is mentioned, and she takes her anger out on Covarian by killing her. This episode was notable for featuring Simon Callow to briefly reprise his role of Charles Dickens, who was last seen 6 years prior to this episode in the Ninth Doctor story on TV, The Unquiet Death. The 11th Doctor stories had up until then remained somewhat detached from the Russell T Davies era, introducing a purely new entourage of human and humanoid characters to work with instead of bringing back the old ones. This cameo, as well as stories after this one, effectively broke the practice. Equally notable was the surprise appearance of American celebrity Meredith Vieira as herself in an announcement for the Today Show. Finally, this story notably retired a close ally of the Doctor who had made numerous appearances in Doctor Who's original 1963-1989 run. That is Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. His actor, Nicholas Courtney, had died of cancer in February of the same year, and his character was written out to pay respect to his passing. The character had made numerous recurring appearances from the Web of Fear in 1968 to Battlefield in 1989. He regularly starred in a series from 1970's Spirit from Space to 1974's Robot, even making a guest appearance in the Sarah Jane Adventures from story Enemy of the Bane in 2008, 3 years before he passed away, which is also his last appearance on TV. So, rest in peace. Still miss him. And Nicholas Courtney. Still miss him. Wonderful actor, wonderful person. He did his job very well to play the Brigadier, Ledward Stewart. Yes. Yeah. The death of Leopard Stewart would be commonly referenced in future unit stories, which often included his daughter Kate, until Death in Heaven, when he returned as a benevolent fireman in a scene paying tribute to the late Courtney. So that's some general info about this story. Dive into the plot. Let's go. The War of the Roses ended its second year as London picnickers are warned not to feed the pterodactyls, and Charles Dickens is interviewed on television about his new Christmas Ghost special. And Holy Roman Emperor Winston Churchill returns to Buckingham Senate on his personal mammoth. Churchill complains about his conference with Cleopatra in Gaul, saying that she is an excellent dancer but annoying. He asks his Silurian physician, Malocay, for the time. It's 5 to 2 p.m. on 20 April 2011. They find it very troubling, despite being reminded it has always been the same date. He orders that his soothsayer be dragged from the tower. Upon a soothsayer's arrival, Churchill reminds him about his constant rambling about how something has happened to time. He asks to be told in simple terms what happened. Slowly, the soothsayer looks up, revealing himself as the 11th Doctor, who tells him why. A woman. In a flashback, the Doctor walks up to a figure from the shadows in a dark, damaged room with a fire burning in a corner. Speaking at fizzling monitor, he addresses with cold tranquility Imagine you are dying. Imagine you are afraid and a long way from home and in terrible pain. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, you looked up and saw the face of the devil himself. Hello, Dalek. It's revealed that the Supreme Dalek is damaged beyond repair. The Doctor takes it apart, scanning its memory banks for any information regarding the science. The Doctor next arrives at a bar, asking the barman for a Father Gideon Vandeleur. The barman doesn't give a straight answer until the Doctor burnishes the eye stalk of the same Dalek he dismantled. Vandeleur meets with the Doctor as he reads Knitting for Girls, but the Doctor knows the envoy has been dead for 6 months. The Doctor zaps him with a sonic, revealing Gideon as the Selecta in disguise. He stares into the eyes of the vehicle and asks to speak with the captain. The Doctor knows they've been spying on the science. He wants to find their weakest link. With the Selecta's information, the Doctor tracks down Gentok. He challenges Gentok to a game of live chess, an illegal game that has electricity run through the pieces that increases with each move. Doctor corners Gentok, with the queen being his only legal move. However, the voltage is too much, even with the protective glove he wears. Gentok asks the Doctor to concede in exchange for a favor. Though fearful of retribution from the silence, Gentok agrees to take the Doctor to Dorian Melvar, who can answer the Doctor's questions. Gentok brings the Doctor to the seventh transept, where the headless monks keep their heads. The richest have their heads preserved in boxes, which shocks the Doctor upon finding Dorium's, which sneezes. Gentok then tries to kill the Doctor in revenge for being beaten at chess. However, he falls into a trapdoor that drops him into a pile of ravenous skulls. The screams awake Dorium, who jokes about his condition. The Doctor asks about the silence and why he got stuck being killed at Lake Silencio. The location was chosen as it was easier to create a fixed point to ensure that the Doctor died without fail. Dorium insists that if the Doctor lives on the fields of Transalor at the fall of the 11th, when no creature can speak falsely or fail to answer, a question that must never be answered will be asked. The first question, hidden in plain sight. To Dorian's surprise, the Doctor doesn't know the question, despite its significance to him. He asks if his visitor wants to know the question. The Doctor agrees nervously. Taking Dorian's head with him, the Doctor determines to continue his farewell tour. However, when he learns his old friend the Brigadier is dead, his bravado crumbles. He accepts his time has come. He gives the Selecta invitations to deliver since it would involve crossing his own timeline, which is a bad idea. I goes to Lake Silencio with Amy Pond, Rory Williams, and River Song, where they drink a bottle of wine Napoleon threw at him. An impossible astronaut rises from the lake and he goes to meet it. As before, he orders his companions to stay back and not interfere no matter what they see. The astronaut's visor lifts to reveal River Song, trapped in the suit by the silence. She has no control over the suit as it prepares to kill the Doctor. He explains she won't remember murdering him and will serve time for a crime she doesn't remember and committed against her will. He forgives her unconditionally, shutting his eyes as her arm rises to deliver the three deadly blows. There are 5 bursts that make him flinch. The Doctor opens his eyes and demands to know what she has done. Hera smiles. She has discharged her weapon system harmlessly, saying that fixed points can be rewritten. The Doctor demands to know who gave her such an idea as everything sudden fades away into white. The Doctor and Churchill discuss these events. The Doctor compares to how time now being stuck due to River's mistake to a record skipping. They see they are holding weapons. Teddy marks have appeared on the Doctor's arms. They look up. The ceiling is infested with dozens of silence. Before they can attack, a grenade rolls into the hall and a troop of soldiers under the command of an eye-patched Amy Pond invade. She shoots the doctor. The doctor awakens in Amy's office on a train. He tries reasoning with her and make Amy remember the proper timeline. However, he stops once he sees that the walls of the office are lined with drawings of their adventures. Thanks to the crack in the universe which Amy grew up next to, she can remember alternate timelines. However, she does recall that Captain Williams, a soldier in her force, is Rory. The train is bound for the Great Pyramid of Giza, Area 52. Amy wonders if things can stay like they are, but the doctor tells her that this mess on Earth will spread to the rest of the cosmos until all of reality will fall apart. In Area 52, the Doctor and Amy walk past more than 100 captured silents. He gives an eye patch, which is explained as an external memory storage system to remember the silence. They arrive in the King's chamber, where River awaits them. Kovarian is a prisoner tied to a chair, annoyed at how the Doctor continues to live. Quote, did my best, dear. I showed up. You just can't get good psychopaths these days. End quote. River taunts Kovarian, telling her it was a big mistake to kidnap and raise a girl into a perfect psychopath, and introducing her to the Doctor. Who else would River fall in love with? The Doctor goes to take River's hand, but she knows they are opposite poles of an explosion waiting to destroy this timeline. She had him handcuffed and tries to convince him to live. The Silents, who have actually just been waiting, escape because it's their trap. As the soldiers retreat to the king's chamber, their eyes drives rectify and kill them. Kovarian mocks them by explaining that the Silents never allow a true advantage until her eyes drive sparks too. Rory stays to hold of the Silents, while a River, Amy and the Doctor go to the apex of the pyramid to see what River has built. The door flies open. Rory falls to his knees as the Silents enter and begin to electrocute him. But Amy, at last remembering who he is, returns to kill them with a machine gun. A wicked Kovarian asks Amy to help her, having gotten her eye drive partially off. Amy burns with rage, starting that Kovarian stole and hurt her baby, and that even though her child is okay now, she will never see her baby again. Kovarian says that Amy will help her as she wouldn't want to disappoint the doctor. Amy points out that while the doctor means a lot to her, he is also not with them. Kovarian's face goes blank with terror as Amy places the eye drive back on, stating, quote, River's song didn't get it all from you, sweetie, end quote. They leave a screaming Kovarian to join the doctor and River. Amy then suggests to a very happy Rory that they should get a drink when everything is over, and then married, and Rory complacently agrees to both suggestions. Atop the Great Pyramids, River has built a beacon signaling to the universe across all of time. The Doctor is dying. Please help. She goes on to explain that the sunspots that keep getting reported in the news are actually replies to her message. And every reply is, quote, yes, of course, end quote. To the Doctor's own surprise, River explains that he's done so much to help others, they are more than willing to return the favor. The Doctor, however, insists that no one can help him. He must die to prevent all of time disintegrating. River despairs, claiming she will suffer more than every living thing in the universe if she has to kill the Doctor. See that there is only one way to pacify River. The Doctor tells Amy to uncuff him. He uses bow tie to marry River in a rushed ceremony. He whispers a secret into his bride's ear and tells her she must never tell anyone what he has just told her. As she looks at him in wonder, the Doctor asks for help. They kiss and time moves again. River shoots the Doctor thrice, preventing his regeneration. He dies. Distorted timeline vanishes. Sometime later, River, fresh from the pressure of Byzantium, arrives at her mother's home to split a bottle of wine. Amy wonders what the events in the aborted frozen timeline say about her, particularly her murder of Covarian. She needs to talk about her guilt with the doctor, but he is dead. River disagrees. Amy knows that her daughter is still having adventures with him in the centuries before his death, but River tells her a secret, which she probably shouldn't. As Rory joins his wife and daughter, they dance for joy until Amy realizes, to her horror, she is the doctor's mother-in-law. The monk carries Dorian's head back to the seventh transept. Dorian recognizes the doctor and asks how he escaped. Discarding his disguise, the doctor explains that he asked for some help from the Selecta crew. He had disguised itself as him while he and the TARDIS were safely inside of it. Simply, he was at Lake Silencio but had someone else take his place. The doctor goes on to explain that he got too big, too noisy. Now that the universe believes him to be dead, it's time to step back into the shadows. Dorian points out that River Song has been imprisoned for the rest of her days for a false murder. However, the doctor says that her nights are between her and him. Dorian offers to help keep the doctor's secrets, but call him a fool since the prophecy is still waiting for him. The doctor heads back to the TARDIS. Dorian calls after him with a question that must never be answered at the fields of Transalore. The question the doctor has been running from his entire life. Doctor! Ooh! And that, my friends, is the end of the story, The Wedding of River Song. I will name some cast members. The Doctor, 11th Doctor, is played by Matt Smith. Amy Pond is played by Karen Gillan. Rory is played by Archie Darvill. River Song is played by Alex Kingston. Madame Calvarian is played by Frances Barber. Dorian Maldivar is played by Simon Fisher Becker. Emperor Winston Churchill is played by Ian McNeice. Dr. Malokay is played by Richard Hope. The Silent is played by Marnix van den Broeke. The voice of Daleks is voiced by Nicholas Briggs. Charles Dickens is played by Simon Callow. Cian Willems as herself. Bill Turnbull as himself. Newsreader is Meredith Vieira. Gideon van der Leur is Niall Craig Filton. The barman is played by Sean Buckley. Kentock is played by Rondo Behexton. Dr. Ken is played by Emma Kimball Jones. Nurse is played by Catherine Burford. Carter is played by Richard Dillane. And Canton Delaware is played by William Morgan Shepard. There are more actors, but it's some. Yeah. Because there are more cast members, more crew, and etc. etc. Okay, some world building in ceremonies. The Doctor and River perform the quick version of a wedding because they are in the middle of a combat song. Some world building in fashion and clothing. The Doctor wore the Stetson given to him by Craig Owens up to and including the time he is hidden aboard the Selecta. World building individuals. Brigadier Ledbert Stewart passed away before the doctor phones the institution where he was staying. He talked about the doctor all the time and insisted on having a spare glass of brandy ready in case he should show up. Second thing in individuals is that Charles Dickens was interviewed on television in the alternative timeline. The third thing is that Anderson is one of the Rory's soldiers that is killed by the Silence. And third thing in individuals is that the doctor mentions his former companions Rose Tyler and Jack Harkness. Some world building in literature. The doctor was reading Knitting for Girls. And the second thing in literature is that the Londinium Cotide reported that the War of the Roses has entered its second year. Some world building in technology is that River built a time-wimey distress beacon. Second thing in technology is that Gantok used Gauntless as limited protection against the electrified chess pieces. And third thing in technology is that Dorian says that the seventh transept has excellent Wi-Fi. And last thing in world building with the Daleks, that is that a new Dalek paradigm supreme has a data core in its neck. So that's some world building, some story notes. Um, First thing is the revelation that the oldest question is Doctor Who? It's also a joke on the audience since it was said it was hidden in plain sight as name of the show franchise. Um, I said abundantly, this episode pays a tribute to Nicholas Courtney, who died in February 2011. The Doctor learns his character, Alistair Gordon Ledbus Stewart, died peacefully in his sleep, fulfilling the prophecy made by the Seventh Doctor in the 1989 episode Battlefield. The episode also contains scenes in which, quote, everybody was wearing an eye patch, end quote. This reference to an anecdote Courtney frequently recounted at Doctor Who fan events about an incident while recording of the 1970 serial Inferno. In the serial, Courtney played an evil alternate universe version of the Brigadier who wore an eye patch. During filming, he began with his chair turned away from the cameras and spun it around to reveal his character. When Courtney spun the chair around, all of the cast and crew were also wearing eye patches, but he managed to continue with the scene as if nothing was wrong. And furthermore, Amy says to the doctor, we'll be in Cairo soon. Cairo being Courtney's place of birth. So some references this wonderful to the wonderful Nicholas Courtney and the brigadier. He played plays the brigadier. That was Stewart. And the Inferno series is with the third Doctor John Pertwee. So another story note is that a prequel to this episode was released online, with more stories and episodes in that series 6. There were more prequels actually for some. Another thing is that Meredith Vieira, co-host of American Morning News chat program Today, filmed her cameo during a visit to the Upper Boat Studios as part of the profile of Doctor Who produced for Today. The profile aired on 9 of May of 2011, containing several minor spoilers for this episode. It revealed the cameo appearance by Richard Hope as Mallow-Kay and the return of Ian McNeice as Winston Churchill. Appearances by several Cybermen served as a false flag spoiler, suggesting they might also appear in the episode, but they did not, actually. Another thing is that this first series finale of the revised series not to be a multi-part episode. In fact, it's the first series finale ever to only be one episode, though it can be seen to be completing the multi-part story started in TV story The Impossible Astronaut. It was also the first series finale of the revival series not to feature, quote, the classic series adversary as the main antagonist, even though it featured a cameo of a Dalek. Another thing is that in TV story, The Impossible Astronaut, the versions of the Doctor give their ages as 909 and 1103. The Doctor has apparently lived for almost 200 years between these two episodes. Writer Garrett Roberts indicated in an interview that it is indeed 200 years after the God complex for the Doctor, and he spends these years, quoting, waving at Amy and Rory through his storybooks. Another thing is that the head shot of the Doctor's head by River in TV story The Impossible Astronaut was a copy made by the Tesselecta. Another note is that this is the ninth time the actor playing the Doctor has portrayed a different character in the same story. This previous happened with William Hartnell, the first Doctor in the Chase and in the Massacre. Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor in The Enemy of the World. The fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, Android Invasion and Meklos. The fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, Arc of Infinity and the Caves of Androzani. The 10th Doctor, David Tennant in Journey's End. 11th Doctor, Matt Smith in Almost People. And 11th Doctor, Matt Smith in The Wedding of River Song. Actually, this story is. Another thing is that this second time 11th Doctor is shown with facial hair. Coincidentally, he is previously depicted with it in TV story Day of the Moon, which was directly tied with this episode. Another thing is that this was the last episode to be covered by Doctor Who Confidential due to that series cancellation. Starting with the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, that's a Christmas special. The official Doctor Who website will feature a short making of videos after each episode's transmission. And also, in the end, a message that the Doctor Who will return appears at the end of the episode. Another thing is that is the first series finale of the revised series in which final scene is set outside the TARDIS. Next thing is that this is the first and only time the Doctor wears his green double-breasted moleskin coat in an odd-numbered episode. Another thing is that Steve Moffat described the episode as, quote, a big roller coaster ride of Doctor Who madness, end quote. Live chess came because Steve Moffat wanted to make chess, which he called one of the most boring games in the world, into dangerous spectator sport, actually. I like chess. But less, it's a long time ago I played chess, by the way. But I have a chessboard, actually a computer chessboard. Another thing is that the Dalek cameo was the culmination of a deliberate wind-up on Stephen Moffat's part. Although he believed that the Daleks were an essential part of Doctor Who and should appear on a regular basis, he had been teasing the British press that they were being, quote, rested, end quote, for season 6. All the same, Moffat's decision to include the Dalek in the finale came on the spur of the moment and was not by design. Another thing is that Amy's confrontation with Madame Covarian, a scene which shows that what she might have been like had she not met the Doctor, was a late addition to the script. Another thing is that the stopping of time at 5:02 p.m. was prompted by what intended to be a red herring in a list of predictions found in Doctor Who, the brilliant book 2011, edited by Clayton Hickman. Another thing is that Meredith Vieira recorded her report of Churchill's return to the Buckingham Senate in front of a green screen while filming a segment for the Today Show's Anchor Abroad, segment covering the wedding of Prince William to Kate Middleton. Unusually, filming began months before Stephen Moffat tackled the script, as his plans for the season coalesced, and Moffat knew of certain developments which would have to take place in the finale. So he would wrote a few pages of script back in the autumn of 2010, which became part of Toby Haynes' shooting schedule while recording material for Impossible Astronaut / Day of the Moon in the United States. Okay, and the other thing is that the episode comprised block 9 of season 6. Another thing is that the first material to be filmed was the scenes in Tesselecta, which were filmed during the recording of Let's Kill Hitler, the other story to feature the Justice Department vehicle. Next thing is that Mark Gatiss was credited in this episode under the pseudonym Rondo Hexton, homage to the American horror actor Rondo Hedden, on whom Gento's Lock was based. Gatiss underwent prosthetics to play the part. Another thing is that the cast found working with the eye patches strange as he had to act with one eye. Alex Kingston remarked that it made her slightly dizzy. Yeah, sometimes it goes with sacrifices, playing part. Another thing is that Gary Gillen was allowed to fire a specially made machine gun used for films. Another thing is that the script called for Indiana Jones style tunnel for the Headless Monk's chamber, but as that kind of location was not available in Cardiff, a set was built instead. Next thing is that the skulls were handcrafted and required a lot of preparation, so it was one of the first things started for this episode's production. Yeah, much work. To represent the malfunctioning Dalek, the white paradigm casing introduced in Victory of the Daleks was heavily distressed, with the blue and orange paradigm Daleks having been effectively destroyed when they were repurposed as the stone Daleks of the Big Bang. This meant that only the red and yellow versions remained intact. As it would transpire, however, neither would ever be used again on screen. This would mark the last use of an original paradigm casing in a featured role. And a last story note is that dubbing was required to introduce the term, quote, iDrive, end quote, for the devices originally called data cores. When it became clear that viewers might not understand that this was referring to the eye patches. Okay, and as usual, I will now dive into continuity because Doctor Who stories and episodes in Universe are to some extent related to each other, are referencing to each other, are linked to each other, are from influence to each other. And as a fan, you watch an episode and you interpret things in continuity. In my case, as I speak for myself, when I rewatch an episode slash story, I most of the time I discover new things, new things that are linked to each other, to other stories in the universe. So the list is also always in the developments, always an interpretation, because I can understand that some other people see other things where in stories in there, but that's the strength. That's why I like Doctor Who so very much. You can and for me, as I speak for myself, every time I rewatch an episode or story again, I enjoy it because I discover new things and I see new things and yeah, I really enjoy it. That's why I can, for eternity, can watch the Doctor Who episodes. Um, yeah, I like Doctor Who very much. So, some things in continuity. And by the way, it's choose your own canon in Doctor Who. It's choose your own favorite incarnation, your favorite of the Doctor, and your own favorite companion of own favorite villain, and choose for yourself what is canon and what is not. Uh, it's a multiverse. It's a Doctor Who universe. Everything is possible. Some things are logical. Some things are not logical. For me, that's the strength of the show. So, okay, let's go into continuity for this. Is that Brigadier Alistair Gordon Letchworth Stewart is said to have died in his sleep peacefully at a nursing home. The Seventh Doctor had stated that this was exactly how his old friends would pass away. We see that in the TV story Battlefields. Second thing is that Doctor uses the internal TARDIS phone. We see that in also in TV story World War III, Beast Below, and The Big Bang. Third thing is that Charles Dickens appears in an interview talking about an upcoming Christmas story involving ghosts. You see that in TV story The Inquiet Death. Fourth thing is that the Winston Churchill is the Holy Roman Emperor. We see that in TV story Victorious Daleks and the Pandora opens. A fifth thing is that Silurian scientist Malachi is Winston Churchill's physician. We see him in see Malachi in TV two-part story, The Hungry Earth and Cold Blood. Another thing is that Dorian Molitor returns as a head. He was beheaded by the headless monks. We see that in a TV story, A Good Man Goes to War. A seventh thing is that the Doctor tells River that archaeology and gossip are the same thing. His previous incarnation told her, quote, I'm a time traveler. I point and laugh at archaeologists. We see that in the TV story, The Science in the Library with the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. Another thing is that Amy draws several creatures and moments from her adventure with the Doctor, including the Crafayes in a TV story Vincent and the Doctor, Weeping Angels in a double part story The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone, Saturnans in the TV story Vampires of Venice, the Silurians in TV double story The Hungry Earth Cold Blood, and the story A Good Man Goes to War. She draws the Daleks in TV from the TV story of the Daleks, The Big Bang. She draws a Minotaur. We see that in TV story The Complex. Yeah, she draws the Cybermen. There's a link to the TV story The Pandora Opens. The Smilers in the TV story The Beast Below. She draws a self-portrait of herself as a pirate. You see, there's a link to TV story The Curse of the Black Spot. And last one is that she draws and of herself emerging from the Pandorica in TV story The Big Bang. Another thing is that Amy mentions the Doctor making it so that the Silents are killed on sight by humanity. There's a link to TV story Day of the Moon. Combined with the Minotaur in her drawings, this means the alternate Amy's memories go through to the God complex. Um, Another thing is that the Doctor encounters the Tesselecta again, and its captain. You see the Tesselecta and its captain in TV story Let's Kill Hitler. Uh, Another thing is that Doctor again sports a board, sports a beard. We see that also in the TV story Dave the Moon. When talking to Amy after the timeline has been restored, River manages climbing out of the Byzantium. She's still in her combat fatigues and has just seen a younger Amy who had no idea as to River's identity. That is TV double part TV story, The Time of Angels and The Flesh and Stone. That's with Weeping Angels. Another thing is that Amy is partially protected from some kind of temporal changes by her long time exposure to the cracks in the universe. That is with first the TV story 11th Hour in the Big Bang. Um, when River says to the Doctor that time can be rewritten, he replies, "Don't you dare!" This is what River says to the 10th Doctor in a similar situation. See it in the TV story Forest of the Death, and echoes the sentiment of the first Doctor when trying to stop Barbara Wright interfering in Aztec history. In TV story The Aztecs. It's in the classic Who, the first season. Other things that River mentions, rule number one, the Doctor lies. See that in TV story Big Bang, Let's Kill Hitler, The Angels Take Manhattan. Another thing is that a silent calls Rory, quote, the man who dies and dies again, end quote. There's a link to TV story Amy's Choice, Cold Blood, The Curse of the Black Spot, and The Doctor's Wife. Another thing is that when the Doctor meets a River in Area 52, he again greets her by saying, "Honey, I'm home." River again replies, "And what sort of time do you call this?" It's a link to TV story The Big Bang. Other things that Doctor mentions Elizabeth I waiting in a glade to elope with him. That's a link to TV story The Shakespeare Code and the End of Time and the Beast Below. The Doctor says, "Geronimo!" Again, you see that in TV story The End of Time, The 11th Hour, Beast Below, and The Big Bang. The Doctor asks River, "Why do you always have handcuffs?" We see it in TV story Force of Death, Flesh and Stone. Dorian tells the Doctor what a question that must never be answered is. He said, "Let's kill Hitler," TV story. The notion of Doctor Who as a dark secret rather than simple question has been mentioned before. You see that in TV story Silver Nemesis. It's with the seventh Doctor, the Sylvester McCoy, and the girl in the fireplace with the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. And hinted by Ian Chesterton. Who is he? Doctor Who? Perhaps if we knew his name, we might have a clue as to all of this. That is the first story, TV story, Another Tricky Child. Another thing is that the barman on Callisto Bay is red humanoid. Also, then a link to TV New Earth Gridlock, The End of Time, The Pandora Opens, and a comic event, a gay agent provocateur. Another thing is while held captive, Madame Cavorin is annoyed at River and the doctor's flirting, as Amy was earlier in TV story Day of the Moon. Another thing is that River mentions having to pretend not to recognize a spacesuit 1969 TV story Impossible Astronaut. Another thing is that heavily damaged progenitor Dalek appears. Another thing is that the Doctor makes remarks on his arm when he sees the silence. He also discovers them under the same circumstances as Amy did, inadvertently looking up at the ceiling where a large nest of silence is roasting, then forgetting the encounter over and over as he keeps looking down, putting increasing numbers of tally marks on for each time he notices silence. See that in the TV story The Day of the Moon. Another thing is that River says she's a child of the TARDIS, as a reference to it's also mentioned in TV story Day of the Moon. No, let's get it there. By the way, TV story. Let's get it there. So child of the TARDIS. Next thing is that the Doctor closes his eyes, holds out his arms, and waits to be shot. See that in TV story The Parting of the Ways. Evolution of the Daleks, The Impossible Astronaut, loses conscious face and peak, where fails to fire. Another thing is that the Doctor reads a knitting magazine, which is also in TV story Day of the Moon. Another thing is that River shoots the Doctor shortly after marrying him. Her father Rory shot Amy while they were engaged. We see that in TV story The Pandora Opens. Another thing is that the Doctor gives River important information by whispering into her ear. We also see that in TV story Forest of the Death and Let's Kill Hitler. Another thing is that doctors revealed to simulate a regeneration through use of the Tesselecta. He explains he had exhausted all 12 of his allotted 12 regenerations. Thus, if he had suffered lethal wounding at Lake Silencio, he wouldn't have begun to expel regeneration energy. Instead, he would have died immediately. We see that in TV story The Time of the Doctor. Another thing is that Doctor faces Dorium's Maldovar prophecy in TV story The Time of the Doctor. There it is revealed that the Silence's efforts to change the future led to it coming to pass. Another thing is that it's revealed that the messenger that delivered the messages to the Doctor and his companions in the Impossible Astronaut is the Tesselecta acting on the Doctor's instructions so that he won't cross his own time stream. Something he once again states is a bad thing to do. Next, the events with the future Doctor in Impossible Astronaut are explored. What really happened is revealed. Another thing is that in an alternate timeline created by a continuity bump, the Doctor did not seek to help the Tesselecta and allowed River to prevent his death. Two then married and settled down for a domestic life as time remained frozen. We've seen it in the comic story Four Doctors. And the last thing in the continuity is that for River Song, the majority of the events take place before TV story The Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone, and after TV story Closing Time. Her final scene takes place before TV story A Good Man Goes to War and after TV story The Time of Angels slash Flesh and Stone. So, and that, my friends, is all I have to say about the story The Wedding of River Song. Time for commercial. Sci-Fi Fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sport. Random Entertainment channel, because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. Random, because we'll broadcast non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random, also, because we have no guests or different guests. It depends who want to join me in a live stream or panel. If you want to join me in a live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube, and we will look what is possible. And feel free to invite me for your channel for a live stream or panel. Uh, in summary, you are invited for my for to be a panelist in on a live stream on my channel, and feel free to invite me for your channel for a live stream in a panel. Yes. So Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who in Discord, and you'll find me very quick. So cheers, mate. Have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. Yes, yes, yes. So I want to say to you, have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. And I'm looking forward to meet you. See ya. Bye bye. Bye bye.